Hello, nurses, and welcome to the Healthy Nurse Connection. This is a podcast where we talk about all things nursing, whether you're a seasoned nurse, a new nurse, a nursing student, or even thinking about becoming a nurse. This is a podcast for you. We talk about nursing, the hardships, the wins, the goals, and how to live your best nursing life. I'm Leslie Catalano, your host, and this is the Healthy Nurse Connection. Hello, nurses, and welcome back to the Healthy Nurse Connection podcast. I am your host, Leslie Catalano, and I am here to talk to you today about stress. And so today I wanted to tell you about this idea that I just learned about that I thought was really amazing. And I feel like many of you might be able to benefit or at least start thinking about stress in a different way. So I was listening to another podcast. Not only do I like to talk on podcasts with other guests, but I am an avid podcast listener myself, and there are several that I listen to. This particular one had Dr. Ranja Chaudhary on it, who is a physician in England. He is a doctor who really focuses on stress and how stress affects the body. And he just had a really great theory about it. And I wanted to share that with you today. So if you want more information about him, I did put it in the show notes. It'll take you to his website, and he has a couple books out so you can look at those. Don't get any benefit from talking about him or his books, but I just thought this was a really great thing, and I wanted to give him credit because I did not make this up myself. So anyway, what he talks about are many stress events, which is a completely different way that I thought about stress. And then when I thought about this and what it means to be a nurse, it kind of just blew my mind about why are we so burnt out, and why are nurses quitting their jobs at such high rates right after they graduate from nursing school. So what is a mini stress event? So the way that he described it is that we are built to respond to stress, and that is not a bad thing. So back in our caveman days, when we were confronted with danger, meaning like a bear or a tiger or what have you, then our body responded in a way to help us survive. So our blood pressure went up so that we could run, our heart rate went up so that our body would be more efficient at getting away from danger or fighting. Even our body's ability to clot our blood increases when we're stressed because we're trying to prevent a severe injury from bleeding out, which I thought was amazing. So we're at increased risk for a blood clot when we are more stressed because our body is thinking that we're going to be injured by this threat that is in front of us and is trying to automatically prevent us from bleeding out. But then bring us into our life today and what stress means today. So back in our caveman days, we'd have the stress for a very short time, and then the rest of the day, we'd really just rest, and we wouldn't have a lot more stress. Maybe we would have more stress, trying to find food. But again, those activities were short-lived, and we had a lot more time for rest and relaxation and community and coming together. And that is kind of lacking in our current society. And so instead, what we have are these little mini stress episodes that kind of compound themselves on a daily basis. So instead of one big one that puts us into fight or flight, we have all these little baby ones that chronically keep that inflammation. It keeps our blood pressure up, keeps our heart rate up throughout the entire day. And doing that over a long period of time, years, decades, months, whatever, leads to disease because we're always in this chronic state of stress, which you probably have heard about before. Chronic stress increases your cortisol levels, which can lead to increased cardiovascular disease and other things later in life. We've talked about this before with stress, but this was just a different way to think about it. And he says that we all have our own threshold of stress that we can tolerate in a day. As humans, we're actually very capable of handling stress, and we're actually very good at it. But once we meet that threshold and we go over the threshold and we don't allow ourselves that rest and relaxation to recover, is when we go overboard into this chronic stress, and that starts to affect not only our daily life, but our health as well. So what is a mini stress session? He even talked about how in the past 20 years, our stress has gone up, and he really associated that with the internet and technology and how we're constantly on email or on our phones, because we didn't necessarily have that as much 20 years ago. He really contributes those things to like these little mini stress sessions. So for example, what he mentioned was you wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off, you're jolted out of your sleep. That is one mini stress session or episode. Again, we all probably wake up to an alarm, so it's not abnormal, but so just one or two or whatever your threshold is isn't a big deal, but it's when they compound that it becomes a problem. So our alarm woke us up. It's our first mini stress episode. Then we immediately check our email and see that we got an email from our boss late last night, or your charge nurse or whoever that is for you, and you see that you forgot to do something. And so now you're a little bit panicked. That's your mini stress episode number 2. Then say you have children, you may or may not have children, so your mornings could all be different. But if you have children, you're trying to get them dressed, you're trying to get them out of bed, you're trying to get them to school. That could be like 5 mini stress episodes right there. Just trying to get your kids to school. Then you get into traffic, and depending on how close or far your work is, how close or far your school is, that could be another couple of mini stress sessions. And then if you're a nurse, and this is what it was kind of like mind-blowing to me, like imagine all of the mini stress sessions that you go through in your 12-hour shift. Like not even like, I mean, it has to be hundreds, if not thousands. Like every time you get a phone call, you know, whatever your communication, I know I've used Voceras, I've had cell phones. Anytime that goes off and somebody needs you, like that could be a little mini stress session, because your body is conditioned to dread what is on the other side of that phone call. Anytime your patient starts to decline, like that's a little mini stress session. Every time you have to call a doctor, every time you get in trouble for not writing your name on the whiteboard, every time you go to sit down and chart and then you get interrupted, anytime you're trying to pass medications, anytime your patient is upset with you, like just imagine all the little mini stress episodes that you must go through on a 12-hour shift. Like I can't even count them all. And so of course we are exhausted at the end of the day, like physically, mentally, emotionally, just drained at the end of the day. And then what we don't do, well, I don't want to talk for everybody, but I know what I didn't do once I had a family and children is that my days off that were supposed to be my rest days to recover, I didn't take them. I didn't utilize that. I have to get laundry done. I have to cook dinner. I have to make sure the kids have clothes to wear for the week. And I want to make sure my house is clean. So when I look back at my own daily routine, I do feel like I'm pretty good at managing stress, but what I'm not good about is giving myself time to actually take a break and rest. Like I could wake up in the morning and on my day off and just go all day, you know, cleaning the kitchen, again, doing laundry, running the kids to school, packing lunches, whatever it is that I'm doing. That could all be little mini stress sessions and not even like take a break. So even on my days off, I would go to sleep feeling exhausted because I didn't take the time to take a break. Or when I did take the time, so maybe I was going to take the dog for a walk or what have you, I didn't really fully let my body relax. I kind of stayed in that intense emotional mini stress state. So I just thought that was just a really amazing idea. And so I have started actually scheduling, somewhat loosely scheduling, because things always happen that change your schedule. But on my days off, or even throughout my day, so if I'm at work, ensuring I take time to sit and take a break and like calm myself down. On my days off, I make sure that I sit and do things that I enjoy. And I was so bad at this. Like I was so bad at this. I I think I did this about a year ago, so before I even knew about this. But I literally had to sit down and down like what I enjoyed and what brought me relaxation, because I couldn't even identify for a while, which is sad to say. And so even with my kids, I really had to sit and, because you don't want every interaction with your children to be a mini stress event. You want to enjoy and spend time with your children. So I really had to sit down and write down, like, what do I really enjoy doing with my kids? So, like, for example, homework is not something that is relaxing with my children. It is a little mini stress event the entire time I have to do homework with my kids because they don't want to do it. So I'm really forcing them to do it. And then sitting down and doing a puzzle is something that I really enjoy and is relaxing. Taking them to the park where we can all get out and get fresh air and play around is something that is really enjoyable to me. On my days off, I'm trying to incorporate more of those things that I enjoy, even when I have my kids with me. And then I've even tried to turn like household chores that would be a little mini stress event. And I've tried to change my perspective on it with my children and get them involved and turn it into a more relaxing, enjoyable event. So, for example, our kids have chores, which they dread and they hate. But I made a point that a couple weeks ago to try to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So one thing that my kids do is they empty the dishwasher. And so while they were emptying the dishwasher, I put some music on, and fun music that they would like. And then while they're emptying the dishwasher, I was cleaning up other things in the kitchen. And then so it just kind of turned into this more like, instead of fighting like you have to put the dishes away, this is your chore, blah, blah, blah. It just made it more of a relaxing event. And then we got the dishes done at the same time. So it was really nice and enjoyable. And I'm trying, I still have quite a few mini stress events throughout my day, or stress episodes throughout my day, but I'm trying to counterbalance it with more rest. So another thing, I love to read. Reading is a joy that I get. I just love, like getting into a good book. And so but sometimes at the end of the day, I would just be too tired to even think about reading. So I've tried to incorporate that throughout my day. So carrying my book with me after I've worked for a couple of hours, really making myself stop and like sit and like just read even for like 5 or 10 minutes, just to kind of get out of my own head for a moment and like relax my body. And since I've been doing that, and then again with like the walking the dog, instead of making that a chore, because I really do enjoy going outside. Maybe I don't when it's like, 0 degrees outside, which I had to take my dog for a walk when it was 0. But when I do have to take her out, I really just try to enjoy the walk. I really try to look at my environment. I really try to relax. I actually stopped listening to podcasts. I used to listen to podcasts, but then depending on what you're listening to, that could be a little mini stress session there. So I've really tried to just focus on the environment more and really enjoy my walk, because it's the same amount of time. So I could either enjoy it or I could be angry about the podcast that I'm listening. Not that I get angry, but you know what I mean? Like I can make it enjoyable or I can make it miserable. And so I've made the choice to make those walks more enjoyable and to really do them on a daily basis, because it's good for me and my dog. So those are just like 2 examples of kind of what I got from his conversation, which I thought was just really, truly amazing. So for you guys, what I would hope that you would get from this is, 1, the next time you are at work and you are working the bedside, I want you to be mindful and really pay attention to how many stress events you're having. And then on the flip side of that, try to find pauses in your day where you can implement stress relieving techniques. So this doctor goes into a lot of different stress relieving techniques that you can incorporate. One he mentioned was deep breathing. So like in the moment when you're feeling stressed, if you take an inhale and count to 3, inhale for 3, pause for 1. So inhale for 3 seconds, pause for 1 second, and then exhale for 5 seconds. And it's something about like that longer exhale just automatically like lowers your blood pressure and relaxes your body. And so that was just one tip. So if you could just find moments in your day where you can just do that breathing and connect with your breathing, you might find that you have lowered your stress response. The other thing he talks about a lot is journaling. So making an effort to journal, and which is something that I obviously have talked about a lot, but he like supports that as well. So really journaling like positivity. So like, what were the 3 good things that you did today? What are 3 great things that happened to you today? So that gratitude type journaling, he has found it works really well with himself and with people. And there's evidence too that backs that up. So that just kind of reinforces that. So that is my mini spiel today. So next time you're at work, just be mindful of your mini stress events and try to find more ways to incorporate decreasing that stress. And then third, on your days off, really ensure that you are taking the time to rest, whether that's reading, whether that's exercise, whether that's watching a movie, whatever it is, like do those things for yourself. All right, that's all I have to say today. I hope you guys have a great day.